I bet you have.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to Cantina Social Hour. Happy Friday. Hello, hello, hello. Good to see everybody. Friday night. I am very tired, but I'm very happy to be here as always because it's what better way to end your week than hanging out in the cantina amongst friends, amongst people we're going to have a good chat with here in the chat. How's everybody doing? We got a great show as always. We got a new guest that's going to be coming on in just a bit. But yeah, thank you guys. I really appreciate you hanging out with me as always. Some of the usual suspects in the house, it looks like. But we love that. Thank you for coming back. I'm glad I didn't scare you off last time. Or the time before that, or the time before that. So thank you for being here with us. All right, let's see who's in the chat before we get started. We got Adam in the house. Adam, thank you for keeping the peace around these parts. We really appreciate you. Dodgson, how's it going? Dodgson, good to see you. New acquisitions, if you acquired, we'll talk about that at the end of our show. As always, we got Rick. Hey, Rick, how's it going? Good to see you. Rick on Social Hour last week. And Rick, if you guys remember, Rick was on last week. He was a little scared because his Star Speeder 3000 was in like shipping limbo. We didn't know where it was. He thought it was going to get lost. And thankfully, Rick got his Star Speeder 3000. So congrats, Rick. Very happy for you. And I'm glad it didn't get lost into the purgatory of USPS. David Matthews, how's it going? Good to see you. We are glad you're here. Hey, Pico V1, how's it going? It's a blast. Met a lot of celebrities, got pictures and autographs, spent a small fortune. Where was this at? What were you guys talking about? What did I miss? Let's see. We got Scott in the house. Scott, how's it going? Good to see you. Happy Friday. Howlrunner Base, good to see you as always. How's it going? We got Jeff in the house. What's up, Jeff? We got Greg. Hey, Greg. How's it going, buddy? Good to see you here with us. Gungan sub. Let's see. We've got nice. Cool. Jurassic Dave's with us. Hey, Dave. How's it going? We need to stream, Dave. It's been a long time. Matt, how's it going? Good to see you. Good to see you. Mary, happy Friday to you, Mary. It's great to see you. Of course. William, good to see you as always. How's it going? Fan Expo. That's what I missed. Okay. Got it. Awesome. Well, cool, you guys. We are off to a good start. Nice. The horses are off. I always forget. What is that saying? The horses are off to the races or something like that. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, it's great to be here. It's great to see you guys. And I need this. I hope you need it too. Because, this outlet is very important for releasing the creativity that's been pent up all week. One of the outlets, at least. So it's great to see everybody. All right. So we got a brand new guest this week, guys. We're going to talk about a few different topics. We got some Hasbro Star Wars from this week. We're going to talk about that. Sideshow has this new Scum and Villainy initiative, which is just awesome. We're going to talk about that. New figure from Hot Toys that's been announced. A Chewbacca at C-3PO. We got that. We're going to talk about the Acolyte Season 2. What's going on with that? Yeah. So brace yourselves. We got quite a show for you. Marina, good to see you. How's it going? Michael, good to see you. How's it going? All right. So brand new guest making her Cantina debut. And I already told her that you guys don't bite, but I know we have all kinds in here. So, I know you guys are always nice. So I'm going to go ahead and bring her in. Hey, Milky Way, how's it going? Good to see you. All right, making your Cantina Social Hour debut for the very first time, we have Jedi.Lex in the house. Lex, how's it going?
It's going. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely, it's great to see you. It's great to have you in here. So I was on your show, your podcast about, I guess that was a few months ago. And it doesn't feel like that long ago, but I guess it's been like several months now.
Yeah.
And that was just an absolute blast. Thanks again for having me on there, and it was a great conversation, and I'm glad we were able to do that.
Yeah, no, I appreciated you coming on. It was great getting to look at your collection and talk about Star Wars, and I'm excited to talk more Star Wars with you today.
Awesome. Well, cool. So Lex, this is your first time in the Cantina, and anytime we have a new guest, we like to just kind of talk a little bit about your own fandom, your own experiences with collecting, and what it is that has really drawn you into this Star Wars galaxy, the Star Wars universe. If you can tell us a little bit about how you got into Star Wars and what you kind of focus on within the realm of Star Wars collecting.
Yeah, so I got introduced to Star Wars at a very young age. I mean, yes, I am a youngster, but when I was like a little kid, my dad introduced me, and that was kind of just something that we always bonded over. And it's always been like an important part of my life. It's been there. Like whenever it's on TV, I'll watch it. And then kind of like when COVID hit, I feel like Mando kind of reinvigorated my love for it. And I just had, easy access to Amazon. So I just started ordering things, and that was kind of how the progression started. I started with Funkos and I started building Legos because I was like, I got all the time in the world. Let me get back into building. And it's kind of just like sporadically evolved. I collect a lot of random little things like books and like the mini bust from Gentle Giant. So kind of anything that I find interesting within the Star Wars realm, I will collect. I don't really have like a specific focus, just kind of if I enjoy it, I will grab it. But yeah, that's kind of how I got into Star Wars and what I collect.
Awesome. And I think we could see a little bit of that collection behind you, it looks like. So
yeah, some of my Legos, and I got my Funkos over there. So pretty
lightsabers, it looks like.
Yeah, got a few of those.
Right. Nice. I see a Grogu, I think.
Yes. Yep.
Nice.
He is up there.
All the good stuff. All the good stuff for sure. Yeah. It looks like everybody is saying hello in the chat. So yeah, we're all happy that you're here.
Appreciate it.
Awesome. So all right, why don't we kick things off with our very first topic here. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the collectibles news, Star Wars collecting news. There's been a little bit of it this week. So let's go ahead and get to that.
Where the fun begins.
All right, so the very first thing we have tonight is some Hasbro Star Wars news. And I'm going to go and pull that up. So there were a few things, nothing like groundbreaking, nothing major, but there are some new things for tying into Andor. New Black Series, new vintage collection that we're getting to see. So I have them here on Entertainment Earth. And the very first thing that we have here, because there was one TVC, so I guess we'll just start off with that. This is a figure that is coming back to the vintage collection. He was in TVC back in, I think it was 2021. The end of 2020 or 2021, one of the I think 2020 actually. Yeah, this is K2SO, but now instead of Rogue One, this is the Andor card back. Always been a solid figure. It's great to see him coming back to TVC. What's interesting, Lex, about this one for me this time is in some photos, it actually kind of looks like they tweaked the eyes a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and pull like this one right here and that one. It almost looks like there's like they added like corneas or pupils to its eyes to make it a little more film accurate. But I don't know if that's completely the case because, again, when I go to some photos here, like here, it looks like I can kind of see that. There, it looks like I can definitely see it there as well. But then like some of the earlier photos on here, like that, like and that, it doesn't really seem like it's there. So I don't know if I'm just seeing things or if they did, in fact, update it a little bit. What do you think?
I mean, it could just be kind of like the rendering of the image because I've noticed that happens sometimes, but it does kind of look like in this one, it doesn't. But the other one, I can kind of see it. I feel like that might be a cool little add-on if they do instead of just like putting the same figure back out. But it's also cool that it's kind of like a different card back and it's a cool droid. So I'm a big fan of it. But I don't know. I think the eyes, I guess we'll have to wait and see kind of thing.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, it could very well be that it is the lighting, but I'm hopeful that they tweaked it a little bit. It does look like it has a little more dirt on it, a little more bronze, like kind of color, copper. But I hope they added those pupils in the eyes because he needs
Yeah.
them.
Yeah,
So
like in those they look a little different. Like they just look darker. So I don't know if it's
yeah,
maybe just like how it was like cropped or what happened, but
right.
yeah.
It's interesting. And this, as I understand it, is part of the case that's coming up later this year that has some of these other figures here from TVC. It's part of this case, as I understand it. The one with Bo-Katan and Ahsoka from Peridia, Grand Admiral Thrawn, the Jetpack Trooper, and the Mando with the white jetpack. So he is in this wave.
Interesting.
One per case. So yeah, so that's the one TVC figure. As far as Jumping to Black series, there is a counterpart for this guy. Now, this one does not look like it has that thing going on with the eyes. This one to me looks a little more like a straight repack kind of situation. And again, this was always a really nice figure. The only issue I ever had with it is that he tends to topple over because he's so top heavy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they got it. I mean, look at the picture. You can see that like clearly he should have like painted on like pupils or something. So yeah, I mean, hopefully this does pretty well for them, because I know the first one kind of hung around a little bit, but it's been a while, and they obviously want to tie it into Andor season 2, so that's why he's here. What's interesting about this one is they did a variant when he first came out that did have like the eye pupils, but they painted them red. I have no idea why they did that, because he obviously didn't have red eyes in Rogue One. But then subsequent like reissues of that figure did not have that, and this one doesn't look like it has it either. So
interesting.
Yeah, very interesting. The ongoing multi-year long saga of K2SO's eyes that probably 2% of collectors are even aware of or fixated on. But I'm one of those people because I'm detail oriented. So what can I say? Sue me.
Nothing wrong with that. He definitely looks like less weathered than the TVC figure, though. Like he looks a little bit more polished in this one.
You're right. You're right. It's true. Yeah. So that's K2. Other items from this little mini news reveal: Darth Maul for Black Series. So this is a single pack. Pre-orders did sell out on Entertainment Earth at the very least. This is the same figure that came with the speeder that they did for San Diego Comic-Con. It's the same one that comes in the 3-pack with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan coming out this fall through GameStop. The only thing different this time is you don't get the robe. You don't have the robe with the hood on it. So it's not the best version of this figure, but it is like the one, if you just wanted a plain Darth Maul, this is the only way to get him that way.
Yeah, I mean, it's a cool looking figure. I didn't get the San Diego Comic-Con one, but I saw that set and I thought it was really cool. So I think it's cool you can have like the opportunity to kind of get a similar Darth Maul, but I think the robe would be like a nice add-on,
For sure. I will say, like, this does look better than, Darth Maul was one of the very first Black Series in 2013. 11 years ago now, and SH Figure Arts, did one, I think like 2017-ish, somewhere in that time frame, and it was just like so much better than the old Hasbro one. This one is better than the initial Hasbro Black Series version, but it still doesn't quite touch the Figure Arts. So I'm a little bit, because it's weird because Hasbro has made leaps and bounds since they first started Black Series, but for whatever reason they just haven't touched Darth Maul on the same level that the SH Figure Arts figure has gotten to. So I don't know what to say about that other than that's my observation.
It's the same thing with Funko. There's certain characters that they've made leaps and bounds with, and then there's others that are just like, well, I feel like we've made no progress here, so I feel like I don't get why that's like a thing across the board. But I mean, it's a cool figure. It definitely looks better than prior ones, but I can see what you're saying. It could be better,
Yeah, it could be just a little bit better. And for me, the biggest bummer, I guess, is when it's like a major character like Darth Maul. Like you want those to be like perfect. But I don't make these decisions, obviously. So better is better, though, right?
Yeah. But I guess they're trying to like wrap up the 25th anniversary of the Phantom Menace with this year coming to a close and stuff. But it'd be nice to see a little bit more detail. But it does look better than the prior ones. Totally. I feel like.
At least Black Series is getting episode 1 stuff. I'll say
Yes.
that. Right. So beyond that, more Andor stuff. Kazine Andor. We saw this one at San Diego Comic-Con. It's a brand new figure. The outfit is based on season 2, and it's a very interesting one. I've noted before that this, it's kind of unusual. Hasbro doesn't usually show like a costume before we've seen it through other means, especially this day and age. But in this case, they did. They showed it like, I guess last month was July. So assuming Andor comes out, I don't think we have an exact date yet, but assuming it comes out like first quarter of 2025 or second quarter, they showed us a figure like 8 to 9 months early, like compared to what they normally would. So that's very interesting, because even in the prequels era, when they were making the figures like in huge numbers, they would only do that like a month before the film. So it's interesting that they showed us this. But yeah, it's a new look for the character. It's a brand new sculpt. He looks nice. I don't really have any complaints here. I don't know that I would pick it up in this scale, but it's obviously something, the kind of thing they'd want to do, because it ties into the new season.
Well, I think it's all like the D23 hype and stuff, and trying to, get the crowd excited for it. Because I know a lot of people, I feel like you either loved Andor or you hated it. I feel like very few people are in the middle. So maybe they're just trying to get some hype surrounding season 2, which I've heard is gonna be good, at least from what people were able to see. But I don't know. Didn't they leak some of the Acolyte like Black Series figures before? I don't think it was like 8 months before, but didn't they kind of like leak them a little bit beforehand, or was that like not official?
I think they did announce a few for TVC and for Black Series. Not leak per se, but they did like announce them maybe like a month before, 2 months before.
Okay, so this is definitely like way in advance.
Yeah, super early. Yeah, so nice looking figure. The last one is Deidre Mira, which they also announced at San Diego Comic-Con. Yeah, she looks fantastic, and I'm glad she's coming in both scales, also in TVC. Yeah, it's a cool one. It's a really cool one. I did pre-order this one because I think, I know she's horrible and all as a character, but she's still kind of cool. So
I mean, I didn't really mind her character. I thought it was cool. She was just like a hard ass, and I was like, I don't know. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm just excited to see where Andor season 2 is going to go, because I did enjoy it. So maybe once I watch it, it'll make me want to pick up some of these Black Series figures.
For sure. And that's basically all of the Hasbro stuff there. Yeah, good looking figure. And just got to throw it out there. If you're picking up on Entertainment Earth, if it's in stock and you use promo code Victoria, just by itself, Victoria, that'll get you 10% off and free shipping. So if anybody's trying to find, if there's anything in stock right now that you want to get, it doesn't work on pre-orders, but if it's in stock, you can use that promo code and 10% off and free shipping, which ain't too bad. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and close that off. It looks like a few new folks have joined the Cantina. So I just want to go through and say hello. Hey, Marco, how's it going? Jason, how's it going? Jason, good to see you. Susan, good to see you. Happy Friday.
Hey, Susan.
Return of the Jedi, how are you doing? Thank you. You like the 6 o'clock? Okay, I'm glad. I've been doing 6 o'clock since May, and prior to that, it was 7 o'clock Pacific, and it seems like people like it better, so I just stuck with it. So, yeah, I'm glad that works out for you too. Better Bob, how's it going? Geckland, how are you? Good to see you. Reflective with paint, could be. We'll have a better idea once we get it in hand. Off to the races. Thank you. That's what what did I say? The horses are off to the something.
Horses are off.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Nice. I'm afraid we might lose Victoria to the Black Series side. I mean, I've back in 2013, I was one of the first YouTube channels reviewing the Black Series. 11 years ago. I don't hate the Black Series. I mean, it's just my preference is TVC, because that's the line that I grew up with as a kid. Back Power of the Force 2 days when they were doing those. So, I mean, that's like the world building line. Whereas Black Series is more of a character building line. I think that might have been what Steve, aka Sith Lord 229, said in the recent Bosk's Bounty conversation with Steve Evans, how they refer to a character building versus world building. Both totally valid. You know, they both exist. So we gotta, you know, if you want to root for Star Wars as a whole, you got to root for the entirety of what's available. Cool. What time is it in everyone's location? Yeah, we'll see. I know we usually have people from all over the place in here, so maybe folks will chime in with their times. Cool. Lex, what time is it where you're at?
I'm with Susan. I'm East Coast. It's 9:26.
Okay, right on. Well, cool. We got 51 in the house. Thank you guys for joining us. We're going to go ahead and move on to our next focus, which is the one that I'm particularly excited about for very obvious reasons. That is the Sideshow Scum and Villainy campaign, initiative, marketing bonanza that they're rolling with. Okay, so I mean, these are not Hot Toys. These are Sideshow. They both have licenses for 6-scale figures. They can't always do the same characters, but they are going with this theme around the Cantina, which is just freaking awesome. It's just awesome. Yes, just yes. Like I'm here for this. This is my thing completely. I don't think I've only have one Sideshow 6-scale item, and that is the Han and Carbonite. That's it. I don't have any like their other figures, and that's just a Carbonite block because Hot Toys never made that one. But as soon as they said, "Hey, we're making these, we're putting them out there. If you're a fan of the Cantina, these are for you," I was 100% on board. So let's go through and see what they have specifically. With it in mind that if you look here in this photo in the background, they also have Jabba's Palace characters that are coming at some point down the road as well. You can see Tessic and Bib Fortuna and some of the skiff guards back there. I mean, man, if this is up your alley, like, man, we're gonna be broke, even more broke than we are already. But yeah, so let's go ahead and see what's available. So currently there are 2 of these figures for pre-order. Greedo, which, you know, you got to go with Greedo. He's like I mean, if you're thinking of like a short list of Cantina aliens, like this is one you have to do. They did Hammerhead like a decade back. I hope they bring him back because he's very expensive on the aftermarket, and I don't have him. But Greedo here is one of the first 2 that they have up for pre-order. Yeah, so this is cool. Outfit looks awesome. It looks very film accurate to me. There's 2 versions of this that cost exactly the same, so there's really no reason that I can see why anybody would not buy this exclusive Sideshow version, which has the extra hand that has the glass in it with blue milk. I don't know why blue milk. Like, why can't it be like a cocktail or, you know, something a little stronger than blue milk? Maybe that's why you know, he was a bad shot because he didn't have enough. He didn't take enough proper shots beforehand. I don't know. I don't know what his excuse was, but yeah, Greedo, you guys.
It could be spiked blue milk. I know they do that at Galaxy's Edge, so
Could be. That's a good point.
yeah, I feel like it looks great. I love the colors of like his outfit. Like I feel like it just like looks like on spot. Like if you were to have a Greedo, I feel like that's the Greedo you would have to have because he just looks amazing. Like I'm very impressed with the line so far and like kind of the future plans that I can see because I saw they posted the silhouette at first and I was like, Victoria's gonna love this, and I was like, we're probably gonna talk about it. So it was super exciting to kind of see. I know all the Cantina lovers. This is like a big deal.
Yeah, it's really cool. Here's a look at all of them that are coming in this wave. I mean, so you got Garandan, you got Walrus Man, you got Greedo, you got Dr. Evazan, and you got Labria. Yeah, these just look fantastic. I mean, this is. I was talking to John Miko from the Star Wars Vintage Collection Facebook group, and I was like, you know, I gotta find a way to downsize some of my existing Hot Toys and 6-scale collection because it has gotten pretty out of hand, to be honest. And there's no way I can ever display everything at one time. Like I just can't. I have to rotate things in and out. So but I definitely want like a dedicated space for these guys. So I'm gonna have to have them like on permanent display, and I'm gonna have to find some other figures to like let go of, because I mean, yeah, like I cannot argue with Cantina Aliens. Like that's just like a must, and like all of these guys are musts for me.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. Do you think they'll release the Hammerhead then to kind of go with the line, or it's kind of just going to be an aftermarket thing?
I would think so. It's kind of hard to imagine they would do like such prominent Cantina characters and not have him, because he is one of the most prominent ones.
Mm-hmm.
So I would think so. Even if it's just like an updated paint deco, like I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he looks good. He looks very, very good. We like Greedo. His long, spindly fingers with the suction cups at the end. Very 1950s sci-fi. I dig it. Collect them all. Indeed, I will. Indeed, I will. No arguing there.
Yeah, they look really good. Like, I'm super impressed with it. So, I don't know. Might have to collect a six scale figure.
Yeah. It's just I can't miss these. I would regret it forever if I did. Yeah. The tailoring just looks. I hope the final product looks just like this, because the fitment of all the clothes and the vest, and it just looks really, really good. Like it looks dialed in. It looks perfect. So I'm really hopeful that the final product looks just like this.
Yeah, it looks like spot on. Like I feel like it looks perfect. So I would be very impressed if it actually ends up in consumer hands or collectors' hands and it looks that good.
Yeah, man, those fingers. I never really thought about it, but like imagine how long it takes for him to like like grab his blaster. You know, maybe that's why his shot was so off. Like his fingers are so long, and he just like hit the trigger wrong, or his aim was off, or I mean,
Yeah.
it'd be hard with. I mean, imagine playing guitar with fingers like that, or trying to brush your teeth, or just wash your hair, whatever. I mean, I know they don't have hair, but like whatever, like it'd be very challenging.
Yeah, I guess I never realized like how long his fingers are, because I feel like they look like enormous in this, and I didn't really put two and two together maybe, but that could have been why he missed.
Could have been why
100%.
you missed. I don't know. I don't know, the kinds of things that, like I said, 2% of people think about. Yeah, so there's two versions of this. As I noted, there's this exclusive version. It's a limited time release. There's also the collector edition. And this one is the same exact figure, same exact price. It just doesn't have that hand with the blue milk glass. So yeah, again, I don't know why you wouldn't get the exclusive, because they cost the same. But if for some reason you had to wait or you missed out, well, the collector edition will still be available beyond the 2-week period. In addition to Greedo, the other one that went up for pre-order was Ponda Baba, also known as Walrus Man. And this one also looks really good. He just looks like a lot of fun. The exclusive here for this version is that you get the relaxed flipper hands, which I'm sure Lex, like there was in the Cantina, like he was filmed with both versions of these hands. And yeah, so I guess they decided, well, how's he going to hold a blaster? So they ended up going with the other hand, but there's still shots in the movie where you can see the flippers like briefly. So
Yeah.
they're including both here, just, so that you have options. I like options when it comes to how I display my collectibles. And this is one option that you can have, having these hands if you go with the exclusive version. But yeah, there he is holding the hand with the flippered hand. It's just weird. Like, how do these guys shoot? I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't know. It definitely looks odd. But is that the only difference that's going to be like with the exclusive versus the non, is you just get like an extra set of hands? Because it's with the Greedo and this one. So I wonder.
Yeah, it's interesting. I guess it's a timed release. So I guess this is how they say, hey, pre-order early so you don't forget. But yeah, there's the furry hand right there. I don't know which one looks more creepy. Like I thought the flipper hand, but then I look at this, I'm like,
yeah. They're both kind of odd. I mean, I guess you could do like 1 and 1.
That would be even worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, he looks good. He looks really good. Yeah. I mean, I don't really have anything to complain about, honestly. Like, I mean, I could almost maybe, I guess I could say maybe the eyes could be a little more glossy, or maybe you could have a little more like real, like rooted fur. But I mean, other than that, I mean, I don't know how that would even work. I mean, he's good. They're both good. He's even got a zipper on his jacket, so it's like, he's fine. He's fine. I'm gonna take him.
Take him as is. I think he looks really cool, and it even looks like the flipper kind of like holds the gun a little bit. Like it looks like it kind of like slides in like perfectly. Like it has like a slot for it, so that's pretty cool. I don't know. I think these figures look really like superb. I feel like Sideshow's been killing it lately.
Yeah, they do look really good, for sure. Yeah, so nice. And there he is with his buddy.
He looks good too.
Yeah, so it's these two figures, and again, exclusive and collector edition. They're both. Panda Bob is $275, and Greedo was
$280.
$280, and they do have the payment plan option. So if you want to make payments on them, that's what I normally do. It starts at $50 a month, $50.40. Not terrible. Yeah, those are both good options to have. In the future, though, they're going to also have Dr. Evazan. All right, so you can RSVP for notification when he goes live. They are going to have Garandan. Same thing. You can RSVP for notification. And they're going to have Labria, who is another really cool-looking Cantina alien with a weird name. But yeah, he looks cool and creepy like he does in the movie. So yeah, these are fun. I hope they don't stop here. I don't want to spend more money than these, honestly, but I hope they don't stop here. I mean, just what if they did like some of the crazier looking Cantina characters, like Kitty Keat, the praying mantis lady in the hula skirt, or I mean, would they do the Tonica sisters? I don't know. I have no idea. But I mean, in my mind, like the ideas of these hypotheticals are just, igniting sparks everywhere. So hopefully, there's more to come.
Yeah. I know we were talking about the kind of like the silhouettes in the background. Did they like officially announce like which ones those are, or you kind of just like used inferred context clues
for like the background scenery?
Yeah. Because there was like them in the front, and then there was like silhouettes in the back, and you were like, William's Bib and Jabba, and I was like, did they like officially announce those characters?
They haven't announced them like that they're coming. This is just kind of like a tease. I would expect that if these Cantina characters do well, then that'll probably mean they will move forward with the other ones too. I do see Tessic. I see Bib Fortuna. I see some of the skiff guards. I think there's like Barada and maybe Weequay Skiff Guard. I don't know who the other two are. I saw a post on Instagram. I think it was on Yak Face where he was there. They were identifying like the names based on the silhouettes. Yeah, I mean, we just had the HasLab Cantina, and that was like a really big deal. So, I mean, to see other companies building on this, even though it's completely a different company, a different scale, a different thing, it's just great to see that there's still that support for this iconic scene out there. So I say keep them coming. Come on, Sideshow. We'll take more of them for sure.
Yeah, possibilities are endless. There's definitely way more than just those 5 characters. So, and I think they're trying to ride out that like HasLab wave, because I think that was a pretty big deal. So, if they can get behind it in their own kind of way, I think a lot of people will show support for them. I think, but we'll see.
For sure. Cool. Just extend a hello to Nicholas. How's it going? I don't want to miss anybody. Charlie, how are you doing? Good to see you. Bender, how's it going? Death sticks are habit-forming hallucinogens. Yeah, I mean, probably. You want to go home and rethink your life for sure once you've had your first one. Warm cup of calf and with blue milk is all we need. Yeah, I mean, if you don't want to go down the the serious Cantina route, then yeah, I mean, that'll definitely suffice. At least before you get to the after hours part of the day. And let's see. Censor his chin. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I know he looks weird. I'll just leave it at that. He does look weird. People have been saying that forever.
Enough said.
Allison, how's it going? Good to see you. Stark Iller, how are you doing? I don't know how Walrus Man drinks. I don't even want to think about that. Like, now I'm thinking about it. Darn it, Stark Iller. Look what you did. Marcus says we need all the Cantina characters in TVC. We do. At least the ones they haven't done yet, and preferably the ones that need to be redone. Get redone. Medos23, how's it going? Max Rebo would be awesome. I would love a 6-scale Max Rebo. Like, for sure. That would be like a must-have. Steve, how's it going? Good to see you, Steve. Steve is an OG going back to 2013 here on the VC channel. Yeah, that's a good point. Sideshow body joints aren't always the best. I mean, like I said, the only one I have is the Han and Carbonite, so I don't really have anything to compare it to. But you know, they're just Cantina aliens. They don't really need to be like in any extreme poses. So as long as they can stand around, hold a glass or a blaster, I'll be good with that. Shell of Scenes, how's it going? Time for Tonica 1-6. I ain't starting that campaign, y'all. You guys are gonna do that if you really want that. I'm not going there. I'm done. I am done. I am checked out of all that. All right. Cool. Moving on. If you are just joining in, hello. And we are going to go ahead and shift gears to the next topic here, which we got a brand new hot toy for Star Wars that was announced really quickly and pre-ordered pretty quickly. And that is this right here. You got the 6-scale Chewbacca with disassembled C-3PO. And this is pretty notable because they haven't done Chewbacca in many years. I think the last one they did was The Force Awakens, and that was like a decade ago almost. So it's nice to see another Chewie. And this one, obviously, you know, it's been a decade, so it looks better than it would have looked before. And again, hopefully the final product looks as good as what we're seeing here, because people have been asking for an updated Chewbacca for years now. And the previous ones just didn't look very good at all. You know, I was never interested in them. They just looked weird, wacky. This one, however, it looks like they've evolved, you know, what a Chewbacca figure could look like. I saw a video the other day through the other YouTube channel, Justin's Collection, which focuses on 6-scale. And he had video that somebody took for him of the actual figure, which was on display, I believe, somewhere in China or Hong Kong. And it looked really good. It looked even better than what is in these photos here on Sideshow's website. So I hope that the final product looks just as good, because this is a really neat thing. Like, when I saw this, I don't have Chewbacca. I have like all the other main characters, but they just hadn't done Chewbacca in a long time. They hadn't done him well. As soon as this went up, I was like, yeah, I mean, I might prefer just a regular Chewbacca without C-3PO, just like a regular like Chewbacca figure. Mm-hmm. But, you know, at this point with this one now here, it's probably going to be years until they do another one. So yeah, he was an instant pre-order, had to have him. And he just looks really good. He looks really good.
Yeah, he looks amazing.
He looks like a good boy. He needs a milk bone.
Do you see 3PO's eyes like light up? Or is that kind of just like the image?
That is a good question. Let's see. Disassembled C-3PO with chrome application. It looks like they are in these pictures. Some of these pictures, like here, looks like they are, I think.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Because it looks like they're lit up, but I can't really I know some of them, they have like the application where you can like apply light products, but I don't know if it's this one. But I think it's cool looking. I think there was actually images that Figure Brian might have posted from some convention that they had him at, and he looked really good in person. So I think he's a great figure.
Yeah, it says one set of disassembled C-3PO parts with chrome application include a LED light up head.
Nice.
So yes.
Cool. Even better.
Even better. It just looks fun. I love that.
That's definitely a very tempting figure, as Susan said.
Yeah, it's so good. I mean, I hope the one thing I hope is that when it comes in, that it's gonna look like this. I hope his fur isn't all like crazy and I have to like brush it or maintain it somehow. Because I don't want to have I don't like having. I know some people do this. Like they'll go to their Hot Toys and they'll buy like these polishes and different things and they'll kind of like put them on different parts. But I don't want to have to do that. I just want to get it in, put him on the shelf, and just appreciate it. Like I don't want to have to comb his hair. And I'll do it for Chewie. I'll do that. I'll brush Chewie's hair. I don't mind doing that because he's Chewbacca, right? I'm happy to do it for Chewie, but I don't want to have to do that. I'd rather him just come out of the box like perfect.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they'll have it kind of like laid. Maybe they'll like hairspray it so it just stays and you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, that could be a possibility. I can't wait. And it's got movable eyes. It's the first time they've ever done that on a Chewbacca figure. Head with detail wool hairstyling.
So maybe you can kind of style it if you please, but maybe it'll just kind of come nice. I wonder if it comes with like a little brush.
That would be funny if it did. There's another one here, image here that teases a Princess Leia figure that they haven't released, which is the Bespin Escape version. Now they did do the Hoth version, and they also did the Bespin version with the maroon colored dress, but they never did a Bespin Escape version. So it looks like they're teasing this as a possibility that it might come out later. So that's always cool when they drop little like teases to feature products in their photos, which more often than not they do release those, but not 100% of the time. But yeah, it would be great to see another Leia on the market. So I wouldn't mind if they did that.
Yeah, especially like a different one that they haven't done before.
Yeah. Yeah, very tempting. Mary says that she pre-ordered it immediately. Must have. Absolutely.
Nice.
Hey Eric, how's it going? Yeah, very cool. Yeah, we're all here for Chewie. We'll do anything for Chewie, honestly. Even as Jason says, take him to Petco for grooming. Yeah.
Fully shaved.
Yeah, we won't do that to Chewie. He doesn't deserve that.
I couldn't even imagine.
And this is a good point, Chelsea. They captured Peter Mayhew's eyes behind the mask. Yeah, I agree. I think they did. Yeah, price on this one is $430. Payment plan is available starting at $55.29 a month. Expected to ship July 2025 to December 2025, which basically means it'll probably be early 2026 that it ships. Because Hot Toys are almost never on time. Occasionally they're early, very rarely. I think the new season 3 Mandalorian Moff Gideon is going to be hitting soon, and the Praetorian Guard showed up early from Mandalorian. But more often than not, they're delayed and they're late. So yeah, it'll probably be early 2026, I would assume.
Okay. A little over a year then.
Yeah, a little over a year. All right. So that is Chewie. Next thing I want to mention here is that there's a new John Williams documentary that just got announced this week that is coming to Disney Plus later this year. It's dropping on November the 1st. And it says it will have a limited theatrical release. So that is pretty cool. I I would like to see it if it came out locally, like with the big sound and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, obviously, John Williams, deserves and has, received so many like accolades and awards, and is just a genius composer. And he's just great. So I mean, yeah, I whatever they want to give to us in terms of content, sure, we'll take it.
Yeah, I'm totally behind it. I think his stuff really brings Star Wars to light, and it's been nice because I feel like recently a lot of people have brought the music to my attention, and I've been able to appreciate it more, and I have even now more of an appreciation for him, so I think it's definitely very exciting that we're getting, some more content from him as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he's just great. Like I've had the good fortune of seeing him a few times in concert, and
Oh, wow.
here at the Hollywood Bowl, they do his which this year he was unable to do it personally, but every year they've had for a long time now, he's been showing up and doing the music of some of his most iconic films, and it's always like just really cool to see him.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, this will be cool. I'm looking forward to it. And I like when, I love the Star Wars series and the Marvel series and all that stuff that they release through Disney Plus, but I really like the other things they also do, like this, like the theme parks, like episodes about Imagineering, like all that stuff is just great. So it's nice to see them like continuing to build on that type of like content outside of those like big budget like franchises.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be cool. I definitely have to check it out.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, there is still more to talk about tonight because we're not quite done yet.
We're not done yet.
We got a couple more topics to go. We're going to talk about some big news this week that isn't just an ordinary, hey, there's no season 2 coming like you would get with 90% of TV shows. This has actually turned into like a really big thing. If you turn on your socials in the last few days. Yeah. So the news of this broke a few days ago from Variety that the Acolyte is not getting renewed for season 2. So it's just a one-off season. Presumably they'll continue those story threads that weren't completely tied up through comics, through novels, through video games, whatever. I personally, as much as I love Star Wars, like I very rarely like get into the books and the comics and all that. So I'm disappointed that we can't continue the story in live action like Disney Plus or a film. But yeah, it was kind of interesting considering that they don't usually say, oh, this is for Star Wars anyway. Oh, we're not doing season 2 of Book of Boba Fett, for example. They haven't said that. But this, it's clearly not continuing in live action. So Lex, what were your thoughts when this came out? And I see people are already getting ready for this because it's like I said, it's been a lot this week.
Yes. Cheers, Jeff. I don't know. I personally am kind of upset about it. By no means do I think Acolyte was the perfect show. Like, it definitely had its flaws and stuff, but I really felt like season 1 was setting up for a season 2. There was definitely a whole lot of character development and storylines that hadn't been kind of talked about, and I think the finale really kind of dropped some bombs, unfortunately, and now we're never going to get it. And I think me and my buddies were talking, and we were like, you know what? They're going to get a lot of hate for this, and they have been getting a lot of hate, but they're still going to do a season 2. Like, Disney is not going to back down. And then this news broke, and I was like, wow, like, they're actually not doing a season 2. Like, this is pretty serious. And I saw Amanda's been getting some hate and stuff in regards to this, which is really unfortunate because it's one thing to dislike a character, but to hate an actor for the character they've played is really crazy to me, but I'm definitely very upset about it. I think maybe they will explore it through the comics or books, perhaps, because I know they did announce some books are coming, whether it's before or after the Acolyte, but I think it was before the Acolyte takes place. But I don't know. I'm definitely kind of disappointed, but maybe we'll kind of get some spin-off shows to kind of develop, Manny Jacinto's character a little bit because I thought that was really cool. I would love to see Plagueis. I know a lot of people don't want to see Plagueis developed at Headland's hands. I don't care. I kind of would just want to see Plagueis. I think that'll be cool, especially if they kind of follow the book a little bit. But I don't know. Overall, I'm definitely pretty upset about the news.
Yeah. I mean, I think you said it, really well. I think The Acolyte was far from a perfect series. When I was on your show, I, kind of refrained from going into depth on my thoughts on it because I wanted to see the whole thing play out before I started talking about it on publicly.
Mhm.
And then finally when it ended, we had an episode and we had some guests and we kind of broke it down and shared our thoughts. But this show has been under attack from the very first episode. And I always liken it to like reading the first chapter of a book and saying the book's terrible. It's like, well, you haven't finished the book yet. You got to give it a chance. You got to, I mean, I'm a teacher, right? I have students, and they start reading a book and they're like, I don't like this. I'm like, well, stick with it. Maybe you'll find out that you really enjoy it. That's how a lot of books are. Even as an adult, that's how it is. Things need to unfold. The story's got to play out. As far as whether it was perfect by the time this series played out, I mean, what is? But I still found plenty of enjoyment in it. I'd rather that it exists than not exist at all. I thought it was fun. And yeah, there were some aspects of it that worked better than others. But it has been under siege since the very first episode. And, a lot of the vocal detractors of this series have been very, forthcoming through their own words as to why it is that they weren't fans of it and why they were actively rooting against it. And, that's when you get into the ugliness of fandom and those vocal, I mean, I like to think it's a vocal minority that like to go on to and spread their toxicity and their negativity. And, whether they know it or not, a lot of the time they reveal their true feelings about things that aren't necessarily Star Wars related by talking about things that are Star Wars related. So that's always very sad to see.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think a lot of, I guess you could say people's true colors were definitely shown by, some of the comments that were made in regards to it. But I think even before the first episode, this show was under fire, and I think it was just bound to go down a dark path just because who was directing it, and that's unfortunate. And then a lot of the characters or the actors that played the certain characters are under fire, and if I was one of them, I don't think I would want to play it either because unfortunately, I mean, not to say that I loved the show, but I do feel like hate is a little bit more, it's louder than love or likeness, I guess, but it just sucks.
Yeah. And then, I mean, there's people on YouTube, it's oftentimes the same folks, and they've already made a lot of money and gotten a lot of subscribers by capitalizing on by monetizing their hate for things. And, that's what gets the clicks for them. And I mean, they can't suddenly, no matter how good the content is, they can't suddenly say, oh, I enjoyed this episode or I like that, because that's antithetical to what they've built up. So it's just really unfortunate that that's what gets the clicks. That's what sells. And, there's websites, there's Star Wars collecting websites that are all about that, and YouTube channels and people on social media. And it's just unfortunate there's not that those few people get the have the platforms they do, because they feed into that. I don't know. To me, it's just hard. It's harder to be negative and harder to be hateful and such than it is to be positive. I mean, even if that's not to say you have to love everything. I mean, there's Star Wars for everybody, whether it's this or whether it's The Mandalorian or the original trilogy or what. But you know, it's like, why? Like, I really don't get it. It takes a lot of energy to be negative and to be that way. So I don't know. I don't understand.
Yeah, it definitely takes a lot more energy to be negative, but it has been nice though to see that there are people that are trying to do like the Save the Acolyte campaign and kind of get a petition going to try to get a second season. I don't know if it's going to be successful. I would love to see a second season just to see where it would go, but it is nice to kind of see that there are people rallying in defense of the Acolyte. I just, again, I think hate speaks so much louder than the appreciation that others have for it.
Yeah, and I'll read through some of the comments here in just a little bit, but I wanted to ask you, Lex, like, what do you think in terms of, you know, some people online, like some of these negative people I'm talking about, like they've taken responsibility and say, oh, look, you know, we got it canceled, and then there's some that are, you know, saying, well, you know, the money, the series supposedly cost a lot of money, 180 million is what was reported. Maybe the numbers didn't do as well as they thought in terms of views. So maybe it's as simple as, you know, they didn't maybe think that it was worth the investment, and are not moving forward with the season 2. And then there's some that are saying, well, you know, maybe it's just, it's neither of those two. Maybe there's other factors at play, you know, in terms of how they want to evolve the stories that, you know, don't incorporate a season 2. So do you have any personal opinion as to what the, you know, what the real situation might be?
I personally think it has to do with the director and people's thoughts toward her and her background, just things that are completely unrelated to Star Wars, and they're attributing her background to her inability to write and direct Star Wars, which I think is completely wrong because I think she's very knowledgeable. I have seen a few people that have commented on, you know, the price to the quality that we got, and yes, some moments the CGI is like not so great, but overall, I didn't really mind some of it. I thought some of the landscape was beautiful. I thought some of the shots were really beautiful. So overall, like there was very minute moments that I was like, that kind of looked a little cheesy. But I mean, a lot of people were like, what did they do with the budget? They just ate Chick-fil-A all day. And I was like, you don't know that, but I definitely do think the majority of it is toward Hedlund as the director and just not wanting her directing Star Wars, unfortunately.
Yeah, and that's really unfortunate because, I mean, for most of its history, you know, Star Wars has been directed by, well, you know, like George Lucas was obviously like the director of the original film and then the prequel trilogy. And, you know, then he brought other people in, like even in the OT days, he brought like, you know, folks in, Richard Marquand, Irvin Kershner in, and then Clone Wars, he kind of handed that off to Dave Filoni to do the bulk of the directing initially. And so, I mean, he brought other people in, but, you know, it's just like as soon as somebody else starts directing Star Wars, and it, you know, this isn't always the case, but, you know, oftentimes it's just like if enough traction takes root that, you know, you see quite a few people like hating on a certain director, you know, that isn't like those other folks, and that's like that just like blows out of proportion. So yeah, I mean, just really unfortunate that people can't separate like creator from the actual product that they put out.
Yeah, and I think there was also kind of some, you know, the elections coming up and stuff, and I hate to like say this, but I do feel like politics and, you know, just having this all kind of come to the surface, I think a lot of people really read into certain agendas that were being pushed. And not that I agree or disagree, but I do think a lot of people attributed certain things and were really kind of nitpicking certain things because Hedlund is a part of the LGBTQ community and certain political parties. So I do feel like the show was looked at under a very scrutinized light, unfortunately. But that's kind of just my take on it, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably, from what I've seen online, probably pretty accurate. I guess, you know, people see what they want to see, and if they want to read into some of that stuff, I mean, you know, that's their choice. What, you know, one thing that I feel like we keep coming back to with, you know, modern Star Wars, like since The Force Awakens, is, you know, like you see things with like Moses Ingram and Kelly Marie Tran and John Boyega and now Amon Lestenberg, and it's like it's the same thing that every time, you know, a character doesn't look like Luke Skywalker or Princess Leia or Anakin, like you see this coming out, and it's just, I mean, I don't even know what to say about it anymore. It's like it happens every single time, you know, and it's just like there's just like a group of people out there that just can't seem to wrap their heads around the fact that, you know, TV and movie content is starting to more accurately reflect the real world. And I mean, as it should. And, you know, these folks are just latching onto that as if it's like people are, you know, it always comes out that it's, oh, this is a, you know, woke thing. It's like, you know, it's reflecting like real life, you know, go outside of your basement and just go to the store, you know, go to a park, go to a museum. Yeah. It's inhabited by all walks of life, all kinds of people from all over the world, all different races, all different backgrounds, all different religions, all different beliefs, you know, genders and preferences. And, you know, I mean, why shouldn't a film, even if it's set in a galaxy far, far away, reflect that?
Yeah, and it's tough too, because I feel like we saw this with the prequels with Ahmed Best and Jake Lloyd, like almost taking their lives because of a character that they played. It just is so heartbreaking to me, and it just sucks. But I totally agree. I think that Star Wars and a lot of franchises are trying to diversify and kind of reflect what we see in the day-to-day. And it was actually kind of nice because I have a friend and he would watch it with his daughter, and she was so into it because there was kind of like the mothers were together, and she was like, wow, like I'm gay and they are kind of, I guess. So it's nice to see, you know, representation. And she's from a younger generation, like even younger than I am. And I was like, it's nice to see that the younger generation is able to see that they are trying to diversify. And I didn't feel like it was being shoved down my throat or it was such a woke agenda that it was being pushed on me. I thought it was like subtle enough that it was okay, but it made a lot of people very uncomfortable. And that just kind of sucks a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. You also mentioned, you know, current political climate and how that could be having effect. And, you know, since I feel like this with Star Wars, you know, this really started around, you know, the sequel trilogy, you know, The Force Awakens 2015, and then, which is coincidentally, you know, also the time frame that this political shift, we started seeing it like on a broader scale. So I don't think it's a coincidence that, you know, these things continue to seem to coincide.
Yeah. It definitely sucks, especially for the people that did enjoy it. I feel like we totally just got drowned out, and it's very tough to kind of find a safe space to talk about this with other people that do agree. So it's nice to see, like, even in the comments that people did enjoy the Acolyte, because I feel like my comment section has just been filled with a lot of hate and negativity. So I really appreciate you guys kind of agreeing with us and, you know, having this conversation, and it's nice to see.
For sure. And yeah, it's one of the things I always love about this canteen is that it's always positive vibes. That's what we're here for, positive vibes. So I'm going to look at the comments and see what folks are saying. So Geklin says, I really like the Acolyte. Shelf Scenes, I liked it. Sad news for sure. Stark Iller, yeah, no big surprise they didn't get the numbers for this show. Matt Dre says no explosions at the show I went to is probably like 98. I'm not sure what that's referring to exactly. I must have missed something along in the chat here. Jeff says I was a fan, enjoyed it for what it was. Adam says this show is very lovingly created and there was so much potential to explore, but remember, no one's ever really gone. That is absolutely true, and I do believe that nobody's ever really gone. Allison, just sad faces. Yeah, sad that it's season 2 is canceled. Charlie says, I wasn't a fan of the show. However, that's just my own personal opinion preferences. And yeah, that's totally fair and valid. You know, 100%. We don't all, you know, it's not, you don't have to like everything. And, you know, I don't like everything. So, I mean, yeah, that's totally fair. Lorena, I liked a lot of things in Acolyte, but I thought it missed in many places, but I mainly didn't like it, how it didn't effectively tie into the canon elements they made promises for. Shelf Scene says, yeah, I really enjoyed it and wanted to see more for sure. Was not perfect, and I didn't understand anything that Basil did in the show. Yeah, that's something we did focus on during that review episode. Is like, why did he do certain things that he did? I don't know.
Yeah, he was a mystery.
Indy Owen, terrible storyline, which is chance scene power menu was absolute cringe TV. The lightsaber fight scenes were great, and the only part I liked of the whole show. Yeah, I mean, it was different for sure. They were trying to do different things, as they should. I don't think it should always be the same story being repackaged over and over. I mean, I'm glad that it expanded to different time period and different elements. Allison says, I think the story deserved to be developed. Bummed for sure. Bob says we really need a Darth Plagueis film or TV show.
Totally agree.
Matt, they should do one more season now that they revealed Yoda. Yeah, I mean, that was a big moment at the end. LT Catch 237. I think they need to rework the show into something new, different title, different focus, but not backing away from the characters. The writing and structure were the problems, not the characters. That's fair. Nicholas, I really wanted to like The Acolyte. I watched every episode twice, but it missed the mark for me. That's valid.
Yeah.
Shelf Scenes, Amon Stenberg was amazing. I really believe the sisters as distinct characters. I agree with that. I think that's not easy to do. Like, if you ever hear an actor talking about when they have to play this two roles, interacting with each other, that's very, very challenging to do. And I think she sold it. I think she did a great job.
I thought she did phenomenal. But yeah, I don't know. It's just tough to see the hate that she's getting for it when I thought she did a phenomenal job.
Yeah. Susan says, wasn't perfect, but I thoroughly enjoyed the mystery and intrigue each week. And yeah, for me, that's a big part of it too, is just having Star Wars, new content, new Star Wars to look forward to each week, even if it's not the greatest, just having that, to know that that's coming, and that, I could get home after work on a Wednesday or Tuesday night and get to watch the new episode of the new show.
Well said.
Eric says there was a whole organized campaign. Yeah, there was people campaigning against it. There are people now campaigning for it. All kinds of stuff. Rick says, I enjoyed the Acolyte. I think the figures look great. The figures look phenomenal. I mean, I bought all the Black Series figures, mainly because they're not released or even announced for the Vintage Collection. So I did buy them all, and they do look great. They're some of Hasbro's best figures they've ever done in terms of how they look, and the articulation is great on them too. Matt says, so tired of Star Wars haters. If you don't like it, fine, but making it your life mission to complain about a science fiction franchise is yeah, I agree, Matt. I mean,
100%.
I don't understand. Anytime I go on to Twitter, right? Because I use it for for this, right? For toys and trivial things like that. But I cannot go on there without seeing so much vitriol and negativity, not just about Star Wars, but about anything. And it's how do people find so much time in their I can't even fathom having that much time to go on there every single hour and tweet about this or tweet about that in a negative way. It's just imagine if you took that time and you put it towards something constructive and doing something positive for the world. How do people have time to do that? I have no idea. But you're right, Matt. You totally are.
It's mind-boggling, unfortunately.
Susan's still upset about Jackie. Yeah, that was kind of brutal.
I mean, her and Yord kind of went out with a bang.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people were not Yord fans. I know we had the Yord horde, but Jackie kind of caught me off guard. I was not expecting that.
Yeah, that was very brutal. That was one of the most brutal deaths I think I've seen in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Nicholas says, unfortunately, the review bombing has become an easy way to discount legit criticism of the show. Yeah, there is that too. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but yes. Bob says, agreeing with Matt, sick of Star Wars fans who hate on anything with female lead, black characters, etc. Yeah, it's just, I don't know what the solution is. I really don't. I mean, it's Disney's been in charge of this franchise, and we've seen more of that than we've seen in the past. I mean, that's not to say there weren't female leads and characters. There were amazing ones, right? We had Ahsoka and we had Leia, but Padme, but as soon as they become like the lead character. They become like, they don't look like previous characters. It's like it's suddenly like the worst thing ever. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Eric says, my main gripe with Lucasfilm not having the vision to keep something fresh like the Acolyte for another season. That's true. I feel like when they develop these kinds of shows, you know, I mean, and maybe they did, maybe they had a vision for a second season. But I feel like, you know, if you have that vision for any kind of a series like that has story threads that are left open and ways that it can go that have like implications for like the wider Star Wars story, like that commitment should probably be in place beforehand. So it does feel very reactionary to just like cancel it, like again, because they haven't previously canceled anything that had already started, right? They've canceled things that hadn't come out, like Rogue Squadron and you know, some of the other things that they've announced, but not anything that was already like released.
Yeah.
Bob says Mark Hamill's IG feed really reveals who the majority of Star Wars fans truly are, and it's depressing. Yeah, again, I don't know if that's, you're right that I have seen that myself, but I don't know if it's the majority or if it's just like some folks that are just, you know, very loud. I don't know. Adam says the stage was set for the exploration of a very cool part of the Star Wars timeline. And that's one of the things I really appreciated about the Acolyte, was that it took a risk in exploring a new part of Star Wars that we've never seen before. What I worry about is with them canceling a season 2, canceling the series, what implications that could have for other Star Wars series in the future that want to expand and tell new stories and introduce new characters and not be tied to the Mandalorian or tied to Luke Skywalker. I mean, what are the implications of that? Are they not going to do that anymore? Are they going to stick to like what, you know, these louder, more vocal, critical fans are clamoring for? Like, I don't know. That's a little scary to me.
Yeah, that definitely worries me a little bit, especially now that we're getting like newer projects from newer timelines and stuff like that. Like the High Republic, yes, it's been explored in books and comics, but it's never really made itself to like live action and on screen. And now that we have the Skeleton Crew coming out and kind of just like new projects, I'm just wondering if there's going to be so much dislike if they're just not going to continue doing new projects.
Yeah.
And that's kind of scary.
It is. Battery Bob, some fans need to realize that Star Wars is a big galaxy that spans hundreds of thousands of years, and there's room for all sorts of stories. Yeah, I mean, we're not talking about like a single planet. This is like a whole galaxy, right? Like there's...
And then some.
Think about that. The galaxy is billions of stars, you know, and how many of those are habitable? Who knows? But even assuming that 1% of them are habitable and there's life on them, you know, aliens or humans or whatever it is, I mean, that's a lot of room for stories. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, it shouldn't just be the Mandalorian, Luke Skywalker, Boba Fett, Ahsoka. You know, there should be a wider story to be told. Bob also saying, if there are Star Wars stories you don't like, it doesn't take anything away from the stories that you do like. Yeah, 100%. Marina says, Manny Jacinto was phenomenal in it too. I'm mostly sad we won't get to see him in this role again. Lex, do you think there's any possibility that if they, even though they're not doing a season 2, maybe they can somehow do, maybe it's the Stranger series or whatever it is, like the dark side or whatever they want to call it, but that does continue that particular story thread, maybe without going deeper into like what the Acolyte was setting up, but just maybe focusing more on like the Stranger and Plagueis and that sort of route.
I think a lot was set up for the anticipation of a season 2, so I think kind of having the Acolyte name attached to it is just going to be unsuccessful, so I think they needed to do away with it. I do think there is a very strong possibility that they're going to explore, you know, his character, because I think he was really the main takeaway from this series. Like, I think one thing that people can agree on, whether you hated it, loved it, or kind of was neutral, is that you liked his character, and he played a phenomenal character. So hopefully, whether it's not live action. It could be animated, like kind of like a Tales of the Jedi, type situation. But I would hope that they're going to continue his story because it's a very interesting one. Maybe
Mhm.
even how, he was Vernestra's Padawan and then kind of went off and kind of joined the Sith, but wasn't really a Sith. Like, I think that could be interesting. And same thing with Plagueis. I just think that they have to move away from having the Acolyte name attached to it, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, maybe it does like spin off into like this other thing. It's just kind of hard separating it now, right? Because you already have like Osha and May and Venestra, and it's just like, I mean, you kind of like it's like it's all like was tied up into that. It's like, how is it season 2 but not season 2? Like how does it spin off but not spin off? So yeah, I mean, I think, Tales of the Jedi type thing would be great, but I really want it in live action. I really want to see that
Yeah.
continuation of that story.
Yeah, I would like live
Um,
action, but I just don't know what they're willing to do now that they've actually went ahead and canceled season 2. I didn't even think they were going to cancel season 2. I thought they were going to kind of just persevere and show that they're not going to back down, but they did, and now it kind of worries me for what's to come for future projects and what that can mean for the development of these character stories.
Totally. Eric says, we saw how people react when Lucas tried to expand on Star Wars with the prequels. Some folks just don't like change. I just rewatched the finale today and it's amazing. Yeah, I mean, there is a subset of folks that they just want the same thing over and over, I guess. I mean, I don't know how that increases, builds on a story. I mean, the whole point of building on a story is building on a story, right? It's not retreading familiar ground. But yeah, there's obviously a lot of folks resistant to change, not just in films, but in many aspects of life.
Yeah.
Rick says, my entire family enjoyed The Acolyte. We watch together every week, and that's cool. I think that's what it's all about, is having that, experience with your loved ones is great, which I usually watch this stuff by myself. So I'm happy to hear people watch it with their families. But that is cool. And Lorena says, didn't Helen want to direct an Asajj Ventress story and they didn't greenlight that? That's what I've heard. That's my understanding, is she wanted to do an Asajj Ventress series, and then I guess Disney didn't want to, or Lucasfilm didn't want to do it, and so it ended up turning into The Acolyte. I don't really know the details or what's been like officially announced, but that's kind of what I've heard as well.
Yeah.
Shelfstein says that The Acolyte will be beloved in 20 years. Maybe. I mean, who knows? I mean, you just never know. I mean, 20 years ago, when I was like a kid growing up with the prequels, I never thought that, people 20 years later would have changed their tune, because, there was a lot of negativity back then for that too. But they kind of have. And I don't know if that's just because they were done by George Lucas, or because, they don't like the new content, or they've learned to appreciate the prequels on a different level. I don't know, but that is the case for sure. Yeah, I mean, I don't really want to get into this too much, really, but I mean, if you look at, if you follow the breadcrumbs on the socials and on the YouTubes, you're 99% correct. So I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people are on under fake accounts. I mean, I know that's seems like sometimes that happens, but assuming we take things at face value, I think you're 99% correct. Thank you, Allison. Glad that you're enjoying this this chat. Adam says, Lucasfilm has announced and promised too many great things that are later canceled. I think they need to decide whether they're going to support their products or not, versus treating media as a focus group. I mean, that's a good point. I mean, you look at the sequel trilogy, right? Like, they were building on, towards a different story with The Last Jedi, and that, it might not have been the story I like personally, but they obviously reacted by, or overreacted, it seems like, by, doing a 180 and going in a completely different direction. So yeah, very reactionary. And I think we've seen that also with other things they've done as well. But yeah, they need it's kind of tough when they announce like Rogue Squadron, or they announce, remember it was like the Game of Thrones guys were doing a Star Wars series, and like what happened with that. Ryan Johnson was doing like a trilogy, like what happened with that. Like they've announced a bunch of things that just haven't panned out. I think even the Lando series turned into a movie. So yeah, I don't know. I do feel that I feel like it shouldn't be so reactionary. I think they should kind of commit to something and just stick with it, and let the chips fall where they may. But they're also a big corporation, and they have their focus groups, and they're monitoring like what people are saying and how they're reacting. And if they don't feel their investment or their money is going to come back to them somehow, like they're probably going to be hesitant to following through, unfortunately. Thank you, Susan. Appreciate that. I'll run our bases. Upset we won't get more Basil content. I mean, who knows? Maybe he'll end up somewhere else. Maybe Basil's like Chewbacca. He just lives for hundreds of years. I don't know. Lorena says, I don't understand what the woke was about. The story actual story was. It's about two sisters overcoming childhood trauma and understanding their own identities. I mean, when you frame it that way, yeah, I mean, it's just leave it at that. I mean, you don't even like if you pitch it that way and you don't even think about like who the actors are. You pitch it to a fan, even like some of these negative fans are like, well, what's wrong with that? Like, on that level, like,
I mean,
and then even.
I think it was like realistically pitched as like a murder mystery meets Star Wars, and I thought that was like such a cool idea, and I was super excited for it. I was like, I love SVU and all that kind of stuff, and I love Star Wars, so it's like two great worlds coming together, and I think it turned into something completely different than what it was actually intended to be.
That is true. That is true. Lieutenant Catch 37, they need to stop trying to make every show a big blockbuster event. TV gets better over time. Give it time. Yeah, and I don't know that this was trying to be a big blockbuster event. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying for sure. Like, things need time to play out, right? Like I was talking about like the book earlier, right? You can't just go off of like one chapter. Bob says, no one ever mentions the OT. Only 3 women had speaking roles. Leia, Mon Mothma, and briefly in Return of the Jedi. One rebel female in Hoth with a line or two in ESP. Yes, Torrenfar. That's her name. That's it. The rest of the OT were men. That is true. And there was the one in Return of the Jedi, the one A-Wing pilot who was a woman that they dubbed with a man's voice. I don't know why, but they did that. That happened. Yep. Just really stupid, but... Rick says, I hate seeing people act so mean to one another. I always hope Star Wars didn't escape, and I choose to pass on what I've learned. Positive vibes indeed. I like it, Rick. Absolutely. Pass on what you have learned. The positive, not the negative, the positive. Nothing comes from negativity and fear and, just stirring up hate. Like nothing comes of that. Nothing good ever comes of that. We've seen that throughout history. Like nothing ever good comes of that. It's got to be a positive vision, with moving forward. Eric, and I wouldn't dig deeper into the mystery of what sisters actually are. Soul said they weren't sisters, but they couldn't finish his disclosure, sadly. Yeah, it still guts me, like how he was like when he realized what was happening, that he was about to die. He was like, "It's okay." Like he said, "It's okay." Like he just accepted it, and yeah, that was brutal.
That was sad.
Riley, Bob, hate is unacceptable. What we should be able to criticize poor writing, which the Acolyte did have when it happens. Yeah, and if you do that in a constructive way and you do it in a respectful way, then that's totally valid. But when people are coming in guns blazing and saying, oh, it's because this is woke, it's because this is, features, main characters that don't look like me or Luke Skywalker or whatever, like that, it's just terrible. Like that's kind of, I think, who we're more speaking towards. But yeah, if you're level-headed and logical in your approach, it's all about how you say something, right? the age old adage. It's not what you say, it's how you say it, and that's what's being lost in a lot of interactions that we're seeing online.
Yes. I think a lot of it was not constructive or even true criticism. It was just name calling, and it was sad.
Yep. And Dial-Up Chronicles says, at least we have Lego Star Wars. Yes, that is still coming, as far as I know. Right? We saw the trailer for that pretty recently. Salacious Rum, how's it going? Good to see you. Special Lady Lex, you are the best.
XOXO.
Yeah, nice to see Salacious Rum. I was on Salacious Rum years ago, and it's great to see them.
I was on his show on Monday, and it was a riot.
Yeah, it always is. Just reading through these last few comments here. We appreciate you guys commenting and sharing your thoughts. 100%. Thank you for doing that. Without vocalizing your sentiments, these thoughts are just lost. So thank you for sharing. Jeff, you bring up a really good point. I'm actually going to bring in a segment like on the spot in just a second here about this. But Jeff says, speaking of figures, I'm worried about Hasbro on this. Those TVC figures that haven't come out yet for the Acolyte may sit for a while. We're going to get into that in just a little bit here because I have a little on the spot. I'm going to put Lex on the spot kind of sort of thing that I want to cover with regards to your thought here. Battery Bob says, I only use Twitter to keep up with some Japanese model kit builders. I mean, yeah, and like I was saying, I only use it for Star Wars. I only use it for like collecting and like, like film, TV news and stuff. And it's like, I can't, 90% of what I see these days is not that. It used to be that for the most part, but now it's not. It's just become a horrible platform. Timba Toy says, I love Jackie's character. Sending my daughter, she went bye-bye. Yeah, sad she went bye-bye. I do hope we get a TVC Jackie, Battery Bob. I really do. Alerna says, I think it is loud people, but not the majority. I'm inclined to agree with that.
Yeah.
Just coming through here. Eric says, I'm worried they won't do fresh takes. Shell I've seen says, it's risky storytelling to position the Jedi's imperfect, but I think they made it feel relatable and still very Star Wars. I mean, yeah, and that's not really anything new because I mean, even in the prequels, they were very imperfect, which led to their downfall and led to the Empire taking over. So, I mean, that's not really like a new thing. So, if this story was meant to show like the seeds of that downfall, then I mean, I think that's perfectly an acceptable like story to tell. Timbo Toys also says, I thought the Acolyte had its minor issues, but towards the end, it really seemed to pick up. Yeah. Once the Stranger became like at the forefront, like I was like, oh yeah, like I started really enjoying it. Eric says, worried that diverse creators and actors won't feel welcome. That's actually a very good point. That's very worrisome. Yeah. That, and that's really unfortunate too, because not just creators and actors, but I mean the audience too, right? If people catch wind of, oh, this is Star Wars isn't a welcoming space for me to participate in, then you're gonna scare off those people too, and that's just really sad because that's not what Star Wars has ever been. It's always been that tale, that classic hero's journey tale of good versus evil, and how does good overcome evil by just being good, and you totally lose that when you have things like this coming about. So I think that is very worrisome, Eric, for sure. Bob's asking, with the Acolyte being canceled, do you think Hasbro should scrap the TVC pipelines for Indar and Yord? We're going to talk about that in just a bit here. Bob says the choreography was fantastic in The Acolyte. It totally was. Like, that choreography was legit. I agree with what a lot of folks are saying. Probably the best since the prequels. Howard Bay says Anakin, Palpatine, George Lucas, Legends, Skywalkers. I'm in favor of more risky storytelling like The Acolyte. You know, mentioning Legends here, that's one thing I also have to throw out there is that, you know, a lot of what I was seeing from some of these same, you know, players that come up, you know, online is that, you know, it's, oh, you know, this thing with Plagueis or this thing with whoever, like, you know, it clashes with Plagueis' story. And, you know, I have the Plagueis book, you know, I read it. It was, you know, it's a good book. But it is Legends, right? It was never like canon. Even when Lucas owned it, you know, it was always like, these books are supplemental materials, but they're not necessarily accurate. They're just, you know, they exist because it's an extra way for us to make money, right? Without making movies. But yeah, so that's always perplexing for me when I see that, like, oh, well, this conflicts with what this book, you know, that some guy wrote, you know, 10 years ago said. Like, it's like, I mean, you know, these stories haven't really been fleshed out. I mean, sequel trilogy didn't rely on the heir to the you know, any of that trilogy, you know, the Timothy Zahn trilogy. It was its own thing. So, I mean, you know, why would you expect that these other elements that are even more disconnected from Luke Skywalker and the Empire? Like, why would you expect that they're not going to be different from, like, those books? I mean, of course they're going to be different. Like, those haven't been shown in live action. So it's fertile territory to be explored. So that was always just kind of a weird thing when I would see that argument come up.
Yeah.
Howard says World Between Worlds could be probably be the best way to do that in a future season of Ahsoka. That's interesting. It's an interesting thought. If we do see the World Between Worlds again, that would be interesting. I haven't watched Rings of Power. Have you seen that, Lex? Have you watched that yet?
I have not, but I'll add it to my list.
Yeah, I will too. I mean, I've intended to. I'm not like a huge Lord of the Rings person. I mean, I you know, I enjoy it. I've read the books and seen the movies, and I've even been to the filming locations in New Zealand. But like, I'm just not like a hardcore. It's not like Star Wars for me. Like, you know, it's way down the list. Like, there's other things I way prefer after Star Wars, but before Lord of the Rings. Matt says, why is Lucasfilm catering to negative Nellies? Do a season 2 anyway. They don't have to watch it. I agree. But again, it's like, you think about The Last Jedi and then The Rise of Skywalker, right? It's like they totally pivoted on what they were setting up.
Yeah.
Marina says it's about the shareholders. Yeah. Yeah. They're a multi-billion-dollar corporation, and, you know, they always have that in the back of their minds, even though, you know, they're releasing products that are creatively based. That's always in the back of their mind, right? You know, it's very antithetical to like Walt Disney, and like, well, you know, he was just about the sheer creativity of doing, you know, the unimaginable. And, you know, his brother Roy Disney was responsible for the financial aspect of it all. But yeah, it's very different now. Star Wars needs a horror movie. That's an interesting one. We got tons of lore that can be brought into new canon from old canon. You know, that's actually an interesting thought. I hadn't really thought about that, but that could work. That could work. Yeah. Although I would, you know, you might argue we have horror stories regarding Star Wars all the time, like what we've been talking about here. William says, I enjoyed the show too. Sad to see negative comments with ulterior motives. Enjoyed a different story apart from the Skywalker storyline. Loved the stranger. Jackie wanted to see more of Plagueis. Yes, I wanted to see more of Plagueis too. Because, yeah, I mean, you know, he was introduced in Revenge of the Sith, but that's all it was. It was just a name drop. He was murdered in his sleep. That's it. We don't know what happened before that, you know. Yeah, the book might have said a little bit, but as far as we're concerned from live action, That's all it was. He was name dropped, and he was wise, and he was killed by his apprentice in his sleep. That's all we got. Like, that's all we got. Like, we didn't get anything beyond that. So anything new that comes out regarding Plagueis is legitimate, in my opinion. All right. So we are going to shift gears here. So Lex, I mentioned a final topic that I'm creating out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So I'm going to set this up really quick. All right. So new focus right here. How does the Acolyte being canceled affect collectibles? So there was this, I don't know if you saw it, but there was this tweet that took off where somebody went on Disney Store website and they're like, oh, look, they removed all of the Acolyte product. And that caught a lot of attention, and people were I was going to say retweeting, but I think now it's like reposting it because dumb. But anyway, and I asked, I said, well, what was there before? Was there even anything there before? And there was nothing there. People were making something out of nothing. There were 2 t-shirts months ago that were there, and that was it. Like, they didn't remove all the Acolyte stuff because they canceled the series. There was nothing there before. It's like, how is this even how are people getting invested in something that's like a non-thing? And now they're back. Like, Yakface actually posted this, that the t-shirts are back. So they brought them back. It boggles my mind how things like this happen, but whatever.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. I definitely thought that kind of was just a lot of speculation over nothing. And we do have announcements of some collectibles, which obviously aren't going to get picked up by either the minority or majority of the people that didn't like it. However, I do think that that's probably going to be all that we're going to get. I think based off whether people do purchase them or not, I don't think they're going to sell out. So I don't know that really a lot of these companies are going to do a second wave, which kind of sucks because I know some of my buddies, at least for Funko wise, they picked up the whole first wave of the Acolyte pops. And we didn't even get some of the main hitters like Indara or even May, for a matter of fact, or Chimera the Stranger. So it'll definitely be interesting to see what they're going to do. But at least from Funko, I feel like it's a 50-50 whether they're going to continue and do a second wave or if they're kind of just going to do the first wave and that's going to be it.
Yeah. I mean, I was at San Diego Comic-Con, and I asked, I had my conversation with Hasbro.
Mm-hmm.
And they had the Lucasfilm booth was there, and it was all the Acolyte. It was 100% the Acolyte.
Yeah.
Costumes, lightsabers, the props, all the stuff from the show was not all the stuff, but a lot of the stuff was there. It was great to see it. And I talked to Hasbro, and they, during that event, they announced officially more product coming for the Acolyte. There was the Vernestra Black series. There was the Yord vintage collection. I mean, they told me during my interview with them, which it is here on YouTube, that that they're not done with the Acolyte. They have plans for it. Now, whether or not that changed with this news, I don't know, but I'm going to look at this in terms just solely in terms of what I've seen over the years with collecting Hasbro Star Wars. They plan these lines out over a year in advance. I think 18 months is the minimum, because they have to have a concept, they have to pitch it, they have to R&D it, they have to do the designs, they have to drop the tooling, they got to get approvals from Lucasfilm for the final product, they got to get it shipped from manufactured and then shipped across the ocean, and they got to have it distributed, and that takes a very long time. So they work years in advance. Steve Evans even said that they're currently looking at 2020 going into 2027. So that's years away from now. So I mean, I think whatever they had lined up prior to this announcement, even if it's not announced officially, I think it's still going to happen. I don't think they're going to scrap those plans. TVC figures that were announced at Comic-Con, Black Series figures that were announced at Comic-Con are still going to happen. Anything that was unannounced from the Acolyte is still going to happen. That is already like too far into the production timeline is still going to happen. I pressed them very hard about the Stranger and how he needs to be in the Vintage Collection and the Black Series. Nope. Nop6 says, I want Chimera as a TVC figure. Absolutely. I told them that. There were other people telling them that, and they agreed that, he's a cool character. So I think, if I had to guess, I think we're going to get that in both scales. But I think anything they actively plan from beyond what's already like, on the timetable of coming out, probably we're not going to see ultimately. Just like happened with Solo when that wasn't like the biggest like film. They made a few, but then they just stopped. I think it'll be something pretty similar to that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be smart if they did like the Stranger or Chimeras. I don't even, did we even get like a final name on that guy? But if they did his character, I think his products will sell. I don't know about all the other characters, but I think if you were to put Chimera as like a TVC, a Black Series, a Pop, whatever you had to do, it's gonna sell. Because a lot of the people because we still haven't gotten any products, but a lot of the people that like 3D print and make their own products, they're selling a lot of the Stranger merch, like the helmets, the gauntlet, like it's a thing. So I think it'd be wise if they put out, some of those, but I just don't know, like going down the road, I don't think there's really going to be much other than what's already in the pipeline. Like I think that's going to be it.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, I mean, people have obviously latched onto this character, and
Yeah.
beyond whatever Hasbro has planned. You're seeing the cosplay, you're seeing like, people online, like, get very hyped about that character, like, towards the end of that series. So, yeah, I mean, and the helmet is coming, right? We're getting the helmet too. So,
Yes.
I think we will get the figure in TVC and Black Series, but again, I don't think anything that's not already currently planned will happen at this point. So like, for example, if like a Jackie isn't already on the timetable of being released in 2025, early 2026, it's probably not going to happen. But whatever is planned that just hasn't been announced, I think we're still going to get. So maybe like Hasbro PulseCon's coming up next month, right? So maybe that's, if they have a Jackie plan, then they would announce her then maybe, and she's still going to happen. But like just things going forward, long term, probably we're not going to see. So yeah, I don't think it's going to immediately affect anything that's already planned. But if you go out to 2026, 2027, probably not anything beyond that.
Yeah, and it's sad. I'm sorry, I was like giggling because have you seen the memes of people taking like the Black Series kind of rendering and like putting the holes through it, and they were like, "This is the figure we're
I have
gonna
not
get." And I'm
seen
like,
that.
I was like, "You guys are kind of sick," but yeah, they like took a little figure and they were like, "Yeah, this is the only Black Series figure we have to get," and I was like, "Oh, you can't do my girl like that." But yeah, I don't know. It's tough. It's terrible, but yeah, I don't know. I think what they've kind of put out there we'll get. I really don't think we're going to get anything further.
Yeah. All right. We are going to move on to our very last segment, which is
new acquisitions.
All right. New acquisitions. My friends here in the chat, I want to know what you've added to your collection since we were last live last Friday. Let me know, and I will call them out. Lex, I always let the guests go first. Is there anything that you might want to share that has recently come in?
I mean, I haven't. I just was wrapping up school, so like this past month, really the past like couple months, it's been tough to like get out there. But I was able to make it to a little brick convention not too far from me, and I did order some custom bricks for like my brick badge. So it is Lego related, but I guess this is kind of really my newest pickup. So I just got this bottom one, and then these two I had custom made. So kind of my newest pickup, I guess.
Nice.
Nothing really crazy in the collecting world, though. Hopefully, now that school's done, though, I'll be making my way back out for some hunts and stuff like that.
Nice. Very cool. I did get a few things last week. I didn't really have it much to show, but this week actually I do. I'm just trying to remember where I put everything. All right. So we have some brand new stuff that's hitting from Hasbro Pulse. Speaking of Cantina Aliens, I got the Black Series Moma Nadon.
Nice.
Yeah, I haven't opened him yet, but he looks really nice. He's very detailed. He's got a great paint application. I mean, it almost looks like his eyes are like glowing right there. They're not, but it kind of looks like they are. Yeah, this is one people have been wanting for a long time because they don't really do Cantina Aliens in the Black Series. They're doing that one. Other thing I got from Hasbro Pulse is they're finally shipping the Vintage Collection Jabba the Hutt action play set is what they're calling it. So I got 2 of these because, you know, the carded figures, it does have 2 carded figures in here. And I like to have a set to open and a set to keep carded. So this is basically the previously released Jabba the Hutt that came with the sail barge, which was a repaint of the Black Series 3 3/4 inch Jabba the Hutt from like 2014 or so. And now it comes with his dais here. And well, the back doesn't really show anything new. It's just kind of like a different image, but you can kind of see the contents down here. There's 8D8 and Salacious Crumb. Those are the 2 carded figures. You get the dais, and then you get some of the miscellaneous like cushions and hookah pipe and all that stuff. Awesome. So yeah, so you know it's cool that they have this in the Vintage Collection because there's never been a Jabba the Hutt in the Vintage Collection before. The next things I have here come from Shop Disney. So you guys remember the debacle with the whole Star Speeder 3000. Speaking, well, let me show this first. So I had ordered the R5 zombie figure, which is like the undead droid, I guess, with a chunk of his head missing. And I really do like the colors on here. Colors are nice. Nice complementary like color palette. It's kind of spooky looking. And then I got the R6 D23, which is the one they just released at D23.
Nice.
It's an R6. Really cool. Yeah, it's an R6 series droid. He's got the sorcerer's hat. Sorcerer's apprentice hat. And then from there as well, I did get Captain Rex or RX-24 that they released for D23. I did order this from the Disney Store website that day, that fateful day. And I haven't pulled the plastic tab, so I haven't even listened to this yet. I figured I'd wait and we'd do it here together. So let's go ahead and see if we can remove that so that we can push the button and see what he sounds like. Is this how this works? Am I doing it right? No, I guess that's not how he works. Interesting. Oh, here's the tab. I'm pulling the wrong tab.
This is Captain Rex. I have a very bad feeling about this. Okay, I've always wanted to do this. We're going in. Yikes! Welcome aboard. This is Captain Rex from the cockpit. I know this is probably your first flight, and it's mine too.
Interesting. So I don't know if it's the original voice.
I see they're loading our navigator R2-D2, and then we'll be on our way.
Yeah, I think it is.
Relax, and enjoy the flight.
Yeah, it sounds like Paul Rubens. I'm pretty sure it's the original voice. Yeah, so this is just like a mini like Captain Rex. It's got a nice little box. And it's like a nice like desktop like piece just to have on your desk. So I got that. And then I got 2 more items from Shop Disney that came, or keep calling it Shop Disney. It's DisneyStore.com once again. I know we were making fun of this like hardcore a few weeks ago, but I went ahead and bought it anyway. And that is the Ochia Bestoon blade from the Rise of Skywalker. It's like a prop replica thing. It wasn't very expensive, so I'm like, yeah, I'm just going to get it. I think it lights up, which I don't remember doing in the movie. which is interesting.
Yeah.
And I haven't opened it, so I don't know. Like, I haven't watched any reviews either. So I think it has a display base. It looks like if you look right here,
Mm-hmm.
and then it has the blade. And again, I don't know exactly how this works. Like, I guess I'm gonna have to just like go outside and see if I can find a Death Star and see if it'll lead me to any like wayfinders. But yeah. So I was kind of making fun of this, and we were making fun of this, but I ended up buying it because that's how it is. And the last thing I got from DisneyStore.com from that same order, and this is probably the one I'm most excited about, to be honest. I got the Pit Droid.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and it says try me. I haven't tried him yet. I don't think. It doesn't do anything. Try me. Oh, he's got the little tab on there too. Let's pull it out.
Oh, someone said that it lights up.
Fun.
I've always wanted like a pit droid that you could like hit on the head and it'll kind of like shrink down and then pop up.
Yeah, and this one does that. Look, he folds up.
Oh, it does? That's so
Yeah.
impressive.
Now, there were two other things on DisneyStore.com that I missed out on. As you guys know, I infamously missed out on them. The first was the Kylo Ren helmet, which I did order. I got to order it, but I got an email later, a couple of days later, saying that they were actually out of stock, so I wasn't going to get it. They refunded me for that item. But I have a friend that works for Disney, and he was at the theme park at Disneyland last weekend, and he found them on shelves, so he was able to pick one up for me, and it's in transit. It's coming its way. The other thing, as everybody knows, the Star Speeder 3000, the one thing I wanted super badly, which first thing I'm going to say about that, there's two things. Okay. First thing I'm going to say, there are some folks from other YouTube channels that, without specifically name dropping me, like as much as you can name drop somebody without name dropping them, we're being a little bit critical, I guess I would say, because they, I mentioned, I'm not sure if you're aware, Lex, but I missed out on this item on DisneyStore.com that day. I was in within 5 minutes, and I still missed out on it. And I ended up getting one right away from eBay, which was like less than half of what they're going for now, which wasn't that bad. Anyway, these folks were saying that I was, again, without name dropping me, were alluding to the idea that I was encouraging giving into scalpers, that I was enabling other folks to do the same thing and perpetuate this behavior of scalping. But I vehemently disagree with that notion, and the reason for that is this isn't an item that is available as a massively produced item that you can pick up at Target, right? It's not a Walmart exclusive that you need to fight a little bit harder to get, to order through Walmart's website or to find in store. This is a specifically limited to 3,000 units item that is a convention exclusive, that the only way to get it was either through being at the convention or being able to get one of the 500 that they had available on the website that day. I do not compare that whatsoever to the scalping in the traditional sense of saying, oh, I can't find this new figure in the store, I'm just going to pay a scalper for it, because that's not quite the case. Yes, people are scalping that item. They are making a killing on this item, but it's the kind of item that as a collector, you have to make a decision. If you're only going to be able to get it if you pay the going price for it, right? The market value, the market price for it. And I made, the personal decision when it was lower in price to do that. And I think as a convention exclusive that, that's a decision sometimes we have to make. That's the nature of this hobby. And it's just a very special, unique, limited edition item that happens to be numbered. That in a very rare case, I wanted it badly enough that I was willing to go on eBay and buy it. And as everybody knows, it didn't work out anyway, because the seller I presume, saw what they were then going for later that same day that I bought it, and then canceled my purchase. So not nearly the same thing. So anyway, I disagree with what was being alluded to by these certain and it wasn't just one channel. There was more than one, but they said my name without saying my name, so I'm doing the same thing. I'm saying their name without saying their name. But yeah, not the same thing. That's the first thing I want to express about that. Second thing is, I was hoping tonight to have something to show you guys that hasn't quite arrived. And I'm not going to say what it is, and I'm not going to say like how I was able to purchase said item. But I'm hoping that this time next week and next week's show, that during this segment, that it will be here for me to show you. And again, not saying what it is, not saying how I got it, not saying what it cost, because maybe it didn't cost anything extra. Maybe it did. I don't know. But I'm hoping by this time next week that there is going to be something extra for me to show during the segment.
Okay.
And that's it. Mary says they should mind their own business. Yes, they should. Yes, they should.
100%.
And yes, that was an awful seller. It was. That was pretty bad. And I even offered to pick it up because they're not that far away. I offered to go get it, and then they didn't respond. They just canceled the item. Did I kill younglings? I mean, I don't think so. I even I have a limit. There's certain things like even I won't do to get a collectible that I really want. So no, there was nobody was physically harmed in attaining this item that I haven't said what it is. Anyway, those are my acquisitions. Of course, I want to see what everybody's acquisitions are in the chat. So let's see what folks have added this week. All right, Hellrunner Base says, I finally got the Micro Galaxy Squadron Phantom 1 to plug into my Ghost. I got all the Black Series Acolyte figures, and I love them. Very nice.
Nice.
Yeah, I think Hellrunner Base was reacting to my Hammerhead figure. So Bob says, I just started a new line of collecting Diamond Select Muppets 3/4 inch. What a charming line. I got Kermit and Spee this week, and today all series 2 arrived. Oh. That is cool. I've seen those. Those are fun, and I've thought about it, but I'm like, no, I got to draw the line somewhere. I can't buy everything I want to, but I can't. Lorena says, on vacation, I went to some toy stores and I scored a TARDIS. I'm not sure what that is. It has lights and sound effects. It's so cool. I've been looking for one for ages, and there it was. Also got a Wrath Tar for $5. I remember those Wrath Tars from a long time ago now. Pico Obi-Wan, so much pops. Lex, I got the new book of 10, Moff Gideon, Flying Death Watch, and 501st Jump Trooper. Got a Grail, the preschool Ewok Treehouse playset, Jabba 2. Pico Obi-Wan, I saw that on Instagram, that treehouse, and I was like, that's cool. That is super, super cool.
Impressive.
Matt got TVC Jabba, new Disney droid with Sorcerer's Hat and Jax Bartman. Nice. Bob got the TVC Jabba set. That it's great. Nicholas didn't get any new toys. Adam says he got the Hot Toys Obi-Wan Mando version. Nice, Adam. That's a great pickup. Considering how limited that was, that is a great pickup. Congrats on attaining that one. Mary got the TVC Jabba's play set as well this week. Very nice. I think this one's for you, Lex, from Matt.
I am indeed an A-full. That is for sure.
I don't know what that means.
It's an adult fan of Lego, so usually like adults.
Oh.
Sometimes they have like most of the Lego conventions, at least the ones that are local to me in South Florida, like are for your kids, like and family and stuff. But there are certain ones that are just for adults. So when you go, it's just all adults that like Lego, and they call it like an AFOL. So
Huh,
I am
interesting.
indeed an adult fan of Lego, but I do go to the kid and family conventions too, just because I like to see what they have. But it is cool when it's kind of like other adults that enjoy Lego just as much as you do.
Very cool. William got Hermie Odal and Jabba's denizens to fill out Jabba's throne room. That's very cool. Adam also got a 6-scale Captain Pike from New Strange Worlds. Cool. Pico Obi-Wan got a bunch of TVC and Power of the Jedi stuff last weekend.
Ooh.
Nice. Power of the Jedi was a fun line back in the day. It was kind of like Hasbro trying to be a little more detailed, but this was like 2001, so it was like, for the time they were a little more detailed, but now it's like, no, not really. Adam says, I want to see the dark side Victoria you run into at the Death Star 2 wreck. Yeah, what would that look like? What would I look like dark side version? I should do that. I should do like a segment for this show. Like just come on like dark side version or something. What would I look like? I don't know. Probably like black lipstick and a lot of black eye makeup. And maybe some black streaks of hair. And I'd be wearing black clothes, which I do almost 99% of the time anyway. So probably, maybe not too different, actually. Yeah, Stark Iller, you should pick up the pit droid. It seems cool. I love the droids that Disney does. And, I have, all the astromech droids, like, back here, and there's this one right here. Yeah, I mean, I got a pit droid to work on my other droids. That's what he's for. Fanboy Cantina, yes, it was only 500 online. I've talked to a few people, and yes, the Star Speeder was only 500 online. I don't know how or why, but yes.
Crazy.
Adam says, wanting this and purchasing is not saying you should have to explain or apologize for. I agree, Adam. Definitely. Name drop them. Nah, I ain't gonna do that. I'm not. They know who they are. I'm not gonna name drop them. Cool. I think. Oh, TARDIS is from Doctor Who. Okay. Another thing that's been on my like watch list for like a really long time that I've never gotten around to doing.
Yeah.
I should one of these days when I magically have some more time to do things. Susan got the Jabba's TVC set too. Nice. Fanboy Cantina orders some Super 7 Sesame Street plain boxes. Those are fun. And I saw the new Sesame Streets that they put up for pre-order the other day. Those are fun. Like if I was just like buying everything, I'd buy them, but I'm not buying everything. I'm trying not to buy everything anyways. Pico Obi-Wan got the Wicket from Slingshot Pop today. Cool. Nice. Susan got the Hot Toys clone armor Obi-Wan as well. Nice. The head sculpt is great in person. Very cool. Very cool, Susan. That's awesome. You were able to get that too. Watch Doctor Who short seasons. Easy watching. Fun stuff. Okay. Yeah, maybe I'll need to do that. I try to like look for like new things to watch, and I know I have things like on my like back burner I need to watch, but then I end up watching like things that I've seen before, like watching like Seinfeld or like watching like old episodes of Columbo from like the 1970s, and like it's just like like easy watching kind of things. But yeah, I should really look at that back burner and start like watching, because there's a lot of stuff I need to see. Very cool. Well, I think that covers it. Thank you guys for sharing what you've added to your collection. And yeah. Well, Lex, this has been great. We've gone 2 hours. We've had an awesome audience, lots of constructive and positive comments here in the comment section. All the Cantinians have been having a good time. And Adam, Victoria's TARDIS live stream 2020. Yeah, I don't know about I don't know if I'm going to go that far with it. I don't even know I'm going to be, I mean, maybe I'll be streaming next year. I don't know. We'll see. I plan to, but who knows? Anyway, Lex, thank you so much for coming on here and hanging out with me and hanging out with our audience, and for just being a great conversation partner this evening. We really appreciate it.
No, yeah, thank you so much. It was truly a pleasure getting to come on and chat with you and all the people in the live chat right now. So that's been a really fun time. I do truly appreciate the invite.
Awesome. Thank you. And we'll have to do it again, I hope, sometime.
Yeah, I'm down.
Cool. So Lex, where can our viewers go to look you up on the interwebs?
Yeah, so it's either Jedi.Lex or Jedi_Lex, because of course you can't get the same social media handle on all the platforms, but primarily I'm just on Instagram and YouTube. I do have a TikTok and a Twitter that I kind of use infrequently, but I kind of just do everything and all things Star Wars, conventions, collectibles, news, rumors, reactions, you name it, I probably cover it. I just like sharing my love of Star Wars with everybody, so if you guys are into that stuff, just come on over.
Awesome. Well, I do have you linked down below, so our audience can click on these links, go to YouTube, go to your Instagram, and follow you there. And please do, you guys, please follow Lex. It's great content, it's positive, and it's good stuff. So thank you for what you're doing, Lex. And yeah, see you guys next week. We're gonna be doing something a little different next week. We're gonna be focused more a little away from Star Wars and more towards what I would probably say is like my third favorite fandom, because there's Star Wars, then maybe I'd say Jurassic Park, and then Batman. Okay, so this year was the 35th anniversary of the 1989 Batman film, right, which is one of my favorite films of all time. And we're going to be going towards this will be like the Gotham Cantina, I suppose. I don't know. We'll see. But we're going to be more, we're going to be with Batman next week. So that's all I can say there. I got a couple guests lined up, and we're going to be talking more, maybe probably a little Star Wars too, of course, but we're going to be focused mostly on Batman. So I hope you guys are here for that. I love it, Adam. This is perfect. Victoria's Bat.
That's like perfect.
I got to make a logo now for that. I got to do it. Yeah. Very cool. Well, thank you guys. Thank you, Adam, as well for moderating the chat. We really appreciate you as always. I still owe you a t-shirt. I need to get that sent to you. And yeah, thank you guys for tuning in, for watching. If you're catching on the replay, thank you for watching as well. Don't forget to subscribe to Lex and follow her as well. And yeah, we'll be back next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. And no matter where you're tuning in from out in the galaxy, be well, be safe. May the Force be with you. And we will see you in the next episode of Cantina Social Hour. So Lex, hang on just 1 second. And everyone else, I will see you next time. All right, guys. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you very much.